When the Vexari refused to surrender, the Battle of Mars began. It was less a battle than a demonstration. Earth ships moved with precision that shocked the aliens. Lieutenant Grace Chen led the first strike wing, her squadron of stealth interceptors, disabling the Vexari flagship propulsion systems in under 3 minutes. Target neutralized, she reported calmly, moving to secondary objectives. Throughout the system, the pattern repeated itself. Earth vessels utilizing technologies unknown to the wider galaxy systematically dismantled the Vexari fleet. Quantum-linked targeting systems phase, shifted shield penetrators and gravitational disruption weapons, all developed in secret during Earth. Apparent absence from galactic affairs rendered the invaders' defenses obsolete. Captain Melissa Ward, commanding the EDS Indomitable, watched as her ship specialized. EMP weapons knocked out 3 Vexari cruisers without firing a single destructive shot. "We do not need to kill them," she told her tactical officer Samantha Bell. "We just need them to understand." The battle lasted less than 6 hours. When it ended, the entire Vexari invasion force had been captured or disabled with minimal casualties on either side. It was not just a victory, it was a message to the galaxy as the dust settled. Admiral Hayes opened a direct channel to the Adraxian Confederation Council. The transmission would take hours to reach them, but her words would reshape galactic politics forever. "For decades you mocked our absence. Today we have demonstrated why that was a critical error. We offer the Vexari prisoners fair treatment under our laws. As for the Confederation future relations with Earth, we are prepared to discuss terms." Lieutenant Grace Chen guided her interceptor in a tight formation around the disabled Vexari flagship. Her squadron maintained perfect position, their engines glowing blue against the darkness of space. The Vexari vessel dwarfed the human interceptors, its hull scarred from countless battles across the galaxy. Yet now it drifted powerless, its weapons silent, its engines dark. Command to strike leader. One came. Admiral Hayes. Voice over the secure channel. "Report status. All targets neutralized." Admiral Chen responded. "Vexari flagship. Completely disabled. All weapons and propulsion systems offline. Life support remains functional. The boarding teams can proceed when ready." "Excellent work," Lieutenant Hayes replied. "Maintain containment pattern." Chen adjusted her course slightly, watching as the specialized boarding vessels approached the Vexari ship. Each carried a team of Earth soldiers trained specifically for this moment. For decades they had studied Vexari ship designs, tactics, weaknesses. Now that preparation would be put to use on the bridge of the EDS Indomitable. Captain Melissa Ward monitored the system-wide tactical display. The battle, if it could even be called that, was proceeding exactly as planned. Earth vessels had surrounded the Vexari fleet from all sides, targeting engines, weapons, and communication systems with surgical precision. The Vexari never stood a chance. Ward thought they came expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a web 80 years in the making. Commander Bell, her tactical officer, looked up from her station. "Captain, we are detecting emergency transmissions from the Vexari fleet. They are attempting to contact the Confederation Council." "Let them try," Ward said. "Our jammers are blocking all outgoing communications. Nothing leaves this system without our permission, across the solar system." Earth forces moved with coordinated precision. Boarding teams secured Vexari vessels one by one. Engineering crews disabled alien weapons permanently. Special containment units took custody of Vexari officers for interrogation. It was not a battle of annihilation, but of dominance. A demonstration of power so complete that it left no room for misinterpretation. In the command center on Luna, General Heather Walsh oversaw the operation, surrounded by holographic displays showing every aspect of the engagement. The Earth Defense Council watched in silence as the carefully orchestrated plan unfolded, exactly as we predicted. Walsh said, "The Vexari tactical response was precisely what our models anticipated. They were so confident in their superiority, they never considered the possibility of defeat until it was too late." One of the council members, a woman with silver hair and the insignia of the European Alliance, nodded. After 80 years of preparation, it should be perfect, she said. What of the prisoners? They will be treated according to the protocols we established. Walsh replied, no unnecessary harm, but they will understand the consequences of their actions. In Mars orbit, the largest concentration of Vexari ships had been completely neutralized. Earth vessels surrounded them in 3 concentric rings. Each disabled alien ship now had an Earth counterpart watching it. Guards for the prisoners. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge of the Valiant watching as the final phase of the operation began. Put me through to all Earth forces, she said. The communications officer nodded. Channel open. Admiral, this is Admiral Hayes, she began. To all Earth Defense Forces, the containment phase is complete. Proceed with occupation and prisoner processing. Remember, these aliens came to conquer us, to subjugate Earth. They believed us weak, primitive. They must leave understanding the truth, but they must also leave alive, unharmed, able to report what they have witnessed. This is not about vengeance, it is about establishing our place in the galaxy throughout the system. Earth soldiers boarded Vexari vessels, taking control of critical systems, securing alien crew members. Not as conquerors, but as enforcers of a new reality. On the Vexari flagship, Supreme War Leader Thrazix watched in impotent rage as human soldiers entered his bridge. Their weapons were not raised, but their confidence was unmistakable. They moved with the assurance of victors who never doubted the outcome. The human commander stepped forward, a woman with dark hair, and the rank insignia of a Major Supreme War Leader, Thrazix. She said, I am Major Patricia King of the Earth Defense Forces. Your vessel is now under our control. Your crew will be detained but not harmed. Thrazix chittered angrily, his mandibles clicking in what humans had learned was an expression of rage. You cannot do this. The Confederation will respond. The full might of 7 species will descend upon your world, Major. King smiled slightly. I look forward to it, she said. That is precisely what we have prepared for. In the Earth Command Center, General Walsh received the reports from across the system. One by one, Vexari vessels were secured, their crews detained, their systems locked down. The operation was proceeding with textbook precision. The council member from the African Alliance looked at the holographic display with satisfaction. 80 years, she said. 80 years of patience, of secrecy, of building while they mocked our absence. It seems almost unreal that the moment has finally arrived. Walsh nodded. We have lived our entire lives in preparation for this day, she said. 3 generations working toward a goal. And now we have achieved it. The galaxy will never underestimate humanity again, as the last Vexari vessel was secured. Admiral Hayes prepared her message to the Confederation Council. The words had been carefully chosen, crafted to convey exactly the right message. Not a declaration of war, but a statement of power. A new reality that the galaxy would have to accept. Throughout the solar system, Earth ships maintained their positions, of visible demonstration of force that would be recorded and transmitted across the stars. A reminder that appearances could be deceiving, that silence did not mean weakness, that those who had mocked Earth absence would now have to reckon with its presence. The Battle of Mars was over. But the true demonstration had just begun. 80 years after Earth diplomatic retreat, the Vexari, the most aggressive species of the Adraxian Confederation, made their move. Their warships entered the Sol system with casual arrogance, expecting to find a vulnerable civilization ripe for conquest or at minimum forced protection. Admiral Susan Hayes stood on the bridge of the EDS Valiant, hidden in the gravitational shadow of Jupiter. Through gritted teeth, she watched the Vexari fleet approach Mars weapons status. She asked Lieutenant Catherine Walsh, all systems primed, Admiral. The entire Jovian fleet awaits your command on Mars. The small human research outpost deliberately maintained as bait, sent out distress calls as the Vexari ships entered orbit. The aliens transmitted their terms: immediate surrender and integration into the Adraxian Confederation as a protectorate state. What the Vexari did not realize was that every word, every movement, every tactical decision they made was being recorded, analyzed, and transmitted to the waiting Earth Armada. The small outpost staffed by volunteers with military backgrounds was about to trigger the trap 3 generations in the making, Dr. Abigail Tate. The outpost commander smiled as she sent the final coded message Mockingbird, sings at dawn. With that simple phrase, humanity carefully orchestrated response began. Inside the Mars outpost, 30 people waited. The facility was designed to appear primitive with outdated equipment and minimal defenses. The perfect Bait Abigail watched through reinforced windows as 3 Vexari shuttles descended toward the landing pad. The aliens had not even bothered to scan for weapons. They were that confident. The facility was built over one of the primary nodes for the Mars defense, grid a network that had remained dormant for decades. With a few keystrokes, Abigail activated the emergency protocols. Deep beneath the Martian surface, ancient machinery hummed to life. Power systems that had been in standby mode for nearly a century began to surge. The Vexari landing parties were visible now. Tall bipedal figures with iridescent scales and elaborate armor. They carried weapons casually, clearly expecting no resistance. "Are all personnel in position?" asked Abigail, turning to her second-in-command Ellen. Carter nodded. "Yes, Doctor, everyone is in the safe rooms. The automated systems are ready to record everything. Our guests say." "Perfect," Abigail said. "Let them come, let them threaten, let them believe they have the upper hand." First Vexari commander entered the facility, his armor decorated with trophies from previous conquests. Behind him came a dozen warriors, their weapons drawn, but held casually. The leader surveyed the room with 4 yellow eyes, his mouth tentacles, twitching with what the humans had learned was amusement. "This is the best Earth can offer." He said, his translation device converting his clicks and whistles into English. "This pathetic outpost. This handful of scientists," Abigail stepped forward with practiced humility. "We are a research station. We have no weapons, no defenses, please. We mean no harm." The Vexari commander laughed, a harsh chittering sound. "We have watched your kind for decades. You retreat from the stars. You hide on your homeworld. You allow your technology to stagnate. And now you will serve the Confederation." Throughout the solar system, hidden sensors detected the Vexari main fleet entering from 3 vectors. It was a massive force, over 200 warships approaching with the confidence of predators who expected no resistance. In the Jupiter shadow, Admiral Hayes received the confirmation she had been waiting for. 300 Vexari ships total with support vessels, all weapons hot. "They think this is a simple conquest, Lieutenant." Walsh looked up from her console. "The Mars outpost has transmitted the signal, Admiral. The Vexari have made formal demands for Earth surrender." Susan Hayes, a veteran of 50 years of military service, nodded solemnly. "So it begins. Send the activation. Codes. All fleets. All stations. Operation Obsidian Shield is now active." Throughout the solar system, hidden installations stirred to life. Massive hangar doors concealed beneath the surfaces of moons and asteroids slid open engines that had been cold. For years ignited with blue fire, communications arrays that had maintained silent running protocols for decades began transmitting coded messages. On Earth, in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Heather Walsh received the transmission. "Operation Obsidian Shield is active. All units prepare for emergence." She turned to the room filled with military and political leaders from around the world. The moment humanity had been preparing for had arrived for 3 generations. They had built and planned and waited. Now they would reveal the truth. "The Vexari have committed their main battle fleet," she announced. "They believe we are defenseless. They are wrong. Emergence in 10 minutes. On Mars," the Vexari commander continued, his speech listing the terms of Earth surrender. Abigail and her team feigned fear and submission, playing their roles perfectly. They needed to keep the aliens talking for just a few minutes longer. Unknown to the Vexari invaders beneath their very feet, the true Mars Defense Force was mobilizing 5,000 troops in hardened bunkers. 100 meters below the surface were preparing for action. Weapon systems concealed in the Martian landscape were powering up target acquisition systems. Were locking onto every Vexari ship in orbit in the Jupiter shadow. Susan Hayes gave the order. "Fleet emergence pattern Alpha 3. 2-1 execute." From behind Jupiter 16, massive battleships appeared, their stealth systems deactivating in sequence. From Saturn, Ring's 30 destroyers emerged, shedding the camouflage fields that had made them indistinguishable from the ice and rock. From the asteroid belt, 70 cruisers broke formation, their engines glowing bright against the darkness. The Vexari fleet detected the sudden appearance of Earthships. Alarms blared across their vessels as sensor operators reported the impossible, hundreds of human warships appearing from nowhere. Ships that should not exist from a civilization that had, supposedly, retreated from Spaceon. The Vexari flagship Supreme War Leader Thrazix received the reports with disbelief. Impossible. The humans are primitive. They have no significant space force. Our intelligence confirms this. His sensor officer, a veteran of many campaigns, looked up from her station with fear visible in her 4 eyes. These readings cannot be incorrect. War Leader, there are human vessels emerging throughout the system. Hundreds of them. Advanced designs, unknown configurations, across. The solar system Earth carefully hidden armada revealed itself. From Mercury orbit to the Kuiper Belt, ships appeared where only empty space had been moments before. Not the primitive vessels the Vexari expected, but advanced warships of sleek predatory design. Each bore the insignia of Earth, a planet the Confederation had dismissed as technologically backward and diplomatically irrelevant. On Mars, the Vexari commander received the emergency transmission from the fleet. His posture changed instantly, from arrogant conqueror to confused warrior. "What trickery is this?" he demanded, turning to Abigail. She smiled now, dropping the pretense of submission. "No trickery, Commander. Just strategy. You believed our silence was weakness. Our absence was fear. You were wrong." Outside the facility, the sky darkened as Earthships moved into position above Mars. The trap had been sprung. Now the real demonstration would begin. The Vexari commander stared at the sensor readouts, his mandibles clicking rapidly, in what humans had learned was an expression of extreme distress. "This is not possible," he said. "Your people retreated. You abandoned the stars." Abigail shook her head. "Is that what you thought? We never left. We were building, waiting, watching, learning, and now you know the truth." Throughout the system, the Vexari fleet found itself surrounded. The greatest armada in human history had emerged from hiding, and the real battle was about to begin. The Vexari commander, Supreme War Leader Thrazix, was in the middle of dictating terms to the Mars colony when sensors detected movement from all directions in the solar system. From Jupiter moons, from Saturn, rings from asteroid clusters, and from bases hidden beneath the surfaces of dozens of planetoid ships emerged. Not primitive vessels as the Vexari expected, but massive warships of sleek predatory design. Each bore the insignia of Earth, a planet the Confederation had dismissed as technologically backward and diplomatically irrelevant. "Impossible," Thrazix whispered, as tactical displays showed hundreds, then thousands of Earth vessels converging. Admiral Susan Hayes opened a system-wide channel. "This is Admiral Susan Hayes of the Earth Defense Fleet to all Vexari vessels. You have violated sovereign Earth territory and threatened Earth citizens. You have exactly 10 minutes to power down weapons and prepare for boarding." On the bridge of her flagship, Major Diane Rivera watched the tactical display with cold satisfaction. They really believed we had disappeared, that we had given up. Colonel Laura Pearson nodded. 30 years of mockery in their assemblies, 80 years of dismissing us as irrelevant. All while we built this as Earth Armada, surrounded the Vexari fleet. The aliens realized, too late, humans had not been hiding from the galaxy out of fear. They had been methodically preparing for this moment, studying every Adraxian weakness, developing technologies specifically designed to counter their advantages. The sky above Mars darkened as Earthships moved into position, thousands of vessels where the Vexari had expected none. Thrazix stared at the tactical display, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in distress. The sensor readings could not be correct. There were Earth vessels surrounding his fleet from all sides, ships that had appeared from nowhere, technologies that should not exist, from a species that had retreated from galactic affairs. "Send an emergency transmission to the Confederation Council," he ordered. "We need reinforcements." His communications officer worked frantically at her console. Our signals are being blocked. War leader. Some kind of interference field surrounds us. Impossible, Thrazix hissed. That technology is beyond human capabilities, Izzet asked his second-in-command. What if everything we believed about the humans was wrong? What if their retreat was not regression but misdirection? On the EDS, valiant Admiral Hayes watched as the Vexari fleet attempted to regroup. Their formation was chaotic, revealing their shock and confusion. Let them see, she said. Let them understand what they face. The main view screen showed the Vexari flagship, a massive vessel bristling with weapon emplacements, its hull decorated with the markings of dozens of successful conquests, worlds that had fallen to their expansion. Open a direct channel to their command vessel. Hayes ordered. Lieutenant Walsh worked her console channel open. Admiral, you are broadcasting to the entire Vexari fleet. Hayes stood tall, her uniform bearing the insignia of Earth Unified Defense Forces. Attention, Vexari vessels. This is Admiral Susan Hayes of the Earth Defense Fleet. You have entered sovereign Earth territory with hostile intent. You are surrounded. You are outgunned. You have 10 minutes to power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Any aggressive action will be met with immediate response. On Mars. The Vexari landing party stared in disbelief as the sky filled with Earth. Ship's Dr. Abigail Tate stood before the alien commander, her posture now confident, defiant. You should have left us alone, she said. You misinterpreted our silence for weakness. It was patience. The Vexari commander chittered angrily. This is some trick, some illusion. Abigail shook her head. No illusion, Commander. While your people mocked our absence, we built the largest military force in human history. Every moon, every asteroid, every seemingly empty region of space concealed our shipyards, our training grounds, our weapon development facilities. Above them, the Vexari ships in Mars orbit were now completely surrounded by Earth vessels. Each human ship was different from standard galactic designs, sleeker, more predatory, with weapon systems unlike anything the Confederation had encountered in the Jupiter shadow. Admiral Hayes received the response from the Vexari flagship. The message was simple, defiant. We do not surrender to inferior species. Hayes sighed. She had expected this. The Vexari cultural profile indicated they would choose conflict over capitulation even when faced with overwhelming odds. Very well, she said. Weapons officer, target their propulsion systems only. We want them disabled, not destroyed. Throughout the solar system, Earth vessels moved with precision that shocked the aliens. Their formations were perfect, their coordination flawless. Each ship knowing its exact role in the carefully choreographed demonstration of force that was about to unfold. On the Vexari flagship, Thrazix ordered his fleet to battle formation. Prepare all weapons, he commanded. We will show these humans the might of the Confederation. His tactical officer hesitated. War leader, we are outnumbered, 10-1. Their ships are in optimal firing positions. They have had decades to prepare this ambush fight or die with honor. Thrazix snarled, the Vexari do not surrender. The first shots came from a Vexari cruiser near Mars orbit. A desperate attack against the nearest Earth vessel, the energy beams struck the human ship directly and did nothing. The Earth vessel absorbed the attack without visible damage, its shield technology beyond anything the Vexari had encountered. Now, Admiral Hayes said, throughout the system, Earth ships activated their primary weapon systems, not to destroy but to demonstrate targeted energy pulses, disabled Vexari engines, precision strikes, neutralized weapon emplacements, specialized EMP devices shut down command systems. The Vexari fleet found itself not under attack, but under subjugation. Each alien vessel systematically stripped of its ability to fight or flee. In the Mars outpost, the Vexari commander received reports of the one-sided battle. His troops looked to him for guidance, but he had none to give. He had led them into a trap 80 years in the making. Dr. Abigail Tate watched the aliens struggle with this new reality. For too long, your species has seen humanity as weak as primitive, she said. You never considered that we might be watching, learning, adapting. In your arrogance, you believed our silence was fear. It was strategy. Outside, the Earth ships moved into final containment positions around the disabled Vexari vessels. The demonstration of force had taken less than 15 minutes. Not a single ship destroyed, just rendered helpless. Admiral Hayes opened the channel again. Attention. Vexari fleet. Your vessels have been disabled. Your weapons neutralized, your communications blocked. You are now under the jurisdiction of Earth defense. Forces prepare for boarding. On her flagship, Major Rivera turned to Colonel Pearson. Do you think the Confederation will respond? Pearson nodded. They have to. Their reputation depends on it, but they will approach cautiously now. They have just learned that everything they believed about humanity was wrong. Throughout the system, Earth forces secured Vexari vessels. Teams of specially trained soldiers boarded the alien ships, taking control with minimal resistance. The shock of what had happened, still reverberating through the Vexari ranks in the command center on Earth. General Heather Walsh watched the operation unfold with satisfaction. Phase 1 complete, she announced to the assembled leaders. Containment achieved, minimal casualties. All Vexari forces neutralized. One of the civilian leaders stepped forward. What happens now? Now, Walsh replied. We send our message to the Adraxian Confederation. The real demonstration begins. In deep space beyond the Kuiper Belt, automated Earth beacons activated, broadcasting a signal to every corner of the galaxy, carrying images of the Vexari defeat, showing the full might of humanity revealed at last. The galaxy had mocked Earth. Absence had believed humanity had surrendered the stars. They were about to learn how wrong they had been. For the first time in 80 years, Earth spoke to the galaxy, and the message was clear. We were never gone. We were waiting. 6 months after the Battle of Mars, representatives from every major galactic power gathered on Luna for the first Interstellar Concord Summit. General Beth Wilson, now serving as Earth diplomatic representative, stood before the assembled delegates. Behind her, through the transparent dome of the conference center, Earth hung in the void, beautiful, seemingly innocent. Now recognized as perhaps the most formidable military power in the known galaxy, Earth did not withdraw from galactic affairs. Because we were afraid, she explained to the hushed audience, we withdrew. Because we saw the inequities in the existing power structures. We withdrew to prepare alternatives. The Adraxian representatives, once dismissive of humanity, now sat attentively. As Beth outlined Earth vision for a new galactic order, one built on mutual respect rather than coercion. In orbit above, Commander June Harrison supervised the final integration of former Vexari warships into Earth defensive network. The captured vessels, now retrofitted with human technology, served as a visible reminder of the consequences of underestimating humanity. They thought our silence meant weakness. June remarked to her executive officer, Nicole Taylor. They never considered we might be listening. Learning, preparing, as the Lunar Accords were signed, establishing new diplomatic, military, and trade relationships throughout the galaxy, humanity stepped fully onto the interstellar stage, not as the backward civilization that had been mocked for its absence, but as the architect of a new era. The stars had learned a crucial lesson. Earth's silence had never been surrender. It had been the quiet before the storm. The Lunar Conference Center gleamed with reflected starlight, its transparent dome offering an unobstructed view of Earth hanging in the void. The great chamber was filled with representatives from 27 alien civilizations, each delegate watching with a mixture of caution and respect as General Beth Wilson continued. Her address: for 80 years the galaxy mocked our withdrawal, she said. Earth departure from galactic affairs was seen as regression, as fear, as primitive isolationism. In your councils you spoke of humanity, with dismissal, with derision, with contempt. You believed we had surrendered our place among the stars. She paused, letting her gaze move across the assembled aliens. You were wrong. On the main floor, the Adraxian delegation shifted uncomfortably. The 7 species that made up the Confederation had been the loudest in their mockery of Earth retreat. Now they found themselves facing the consequences. The Vexari representatives were notably subdued. their usual aggression replaced by cautious silence. The human withdrawal was never about fear, Wilson continued. It was strategy. From the moment of first contact, we recognized the true nature of the Confederation. We saw the pattern of absorption and conquest disguised as alliance. We understood that in the existing galactic order, Earth would eventually face a choice: submission or destruction. So we chose a third path. We disappeared. We watched, we built. And we waited, above Luna. The Earth Defense Fleet maintained its position, a reminder of the power that had been revealed. The ships were visible from the conference center, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight, a silent statement of humanity. New status, in a separate observation deck. Commander June Harrison watched the proceedings through a direct feed. Her executive officer, Nicole Taylor, stood beside her, both women wearing the dark blue uniforms of Earth Space Command. Do you think they understand yet? Taylor asked, her gaze fixed on the alien delegates. Harrison shook her head. Not fully, she replied. They know we deceived them. They know we built in secret. They know we defeated the Vexari. But I do not think they truly comprehend what humanity accomplished. For 3 generations we maintained absolute secrecy, Taylor said. Every nation, every corporation, every citizen united in a single purpose, building the greatest military force in human history, all while presenting the image of regression to the galaxy. It is perhaps the greatest misdirection ever achieved. In the conference center, Beth Wilson activated the holographic display. A 3-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared with Earth and the Sol system highlighted. The old order is finished, she announced. This is not a threat. It is simply reality. The Adraxian policy of expansion through intimidation ends today. The exploitation of developing worlds ends today. The use of technological superiority as a tool of subjugation ends today. The Adraxian Prime Delegate rose from his seat, his forearms held in what his species considered a gesture of conciliation. General Wilson. He began, his translator converting his musical tones to English. The Confederation acknowledges the impressive demonstration of Earth military capabilities. We are prepared to recognize humanity as a major power, perhaps even to offer membership in the Confederation Council. Wilson smiled, a cold expression without warmth. You misunderstand, Prime Delegate. We are not seeking admission to your existing structures. We are establishing new ones. The Lunar Accords will replace the Adraxian Compact. As of today, any world that wishes to join this new alliance will receive Earth protection. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some delegates registered shock, others interest. A few seemed openly pleased at this development. The balance of power that had defined galactic politics for millennia was shifting before their eyes. In Earth orbit, the integration of captured Vexari vessels continued. Commander Harrison supervised as engineering teams retrofitted the alien ships with human technology. Each vessel represented not just a military asset but a symbol. The ships that had come to conquer Earth would now serve in its defense. The Vexari built excellent ships. Harrison noted, watching as human crews moved through the massive alien vessel below them. It seems a fitting use for them. Taylor nodded. Poetic justice. The ships that came to subjugate us will now protect us, and every time the Confederation sees them, they will remember what happened when they underestimated humanity. In the conference center, General Wilson was concluding her address. Earth does not seek dominance, she said. We seek balance. We seek fairness. We seek a galactic community where technological advantage does not automatically translate to political control, where developing civilizations are protected, not exploited, where cooperation replaces coercion. The Earth delegates watched as Wilson presented the terms of the Lunar Accords: free trade between all signatories, mutual defense guarantees, technology sharing under carefully managed conditions, and most importantly, respect for sovereignty, regardless of technological development level. The galaxy was changing. The humiliation of the Vexari had sent shockwaves through interstellar politics. Worlds that had existed under Adraxian influence now saw an alternative, a chance for true independence backed by Earth. Formidable military power as the first delegates came forward to sign the accords. Beth Wilson looked up through the transparent dome, at the stars. Humanity had hidden from those stars for 80 years, had been mocked for their absence. Now they had returned on their own terms. The final Vexari prisoner transport departed the Sol system 3 days after the signing of the lunar accords. Supreme War Leader Thrazix stood at the viewport watching as Earth receded behind them. His once proud armor was gone, replaced by the simple clothing of a prisoner. Beside him stood Major Patricia King, the human officer who had accepted his formal surrender. "You are returning to your homeworld," she said. "Your leaders have agreed to the terms. The Vexari will withdraw from 3 contested systems. Your expansion is over." Thrazix chittered softly. "You deceived us all these years, we thought. You weak." Primitive King smiled. "We learned from watching you. The Vexari respect strength above all else. So we showed you strength. And now you understand, as the transport accelerated away from Earth." Thrazix continued to watch until the blue planet was no longer visible. They had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they had found the most formidable military force in the galaxy, a civilization that had spent 80 years preparing for this moment. The galaxy had mocked Earth. Absence had laughed at humanity retreat. Now Earth ships darkened alien skies, and the stars would never be the same again. Throughout the galaxy, the message spread. Earth had emerged from its long silence, not as the weak, primitive civilization they had been, believed to be, but as perhaps the most powerful united force the stars had ever seen. The age of Adraxian dominance was over. A new era had begun, one shaped by the civilization that had been mocked for its absence, the civilization that had used that mockery as cover for the greatest military buildup in galactic history. Humanity had returned to the stars, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. The night shift at Outpost Horizon was always quiet. Kimberly Foster liked it that way. She sat at her station watching the stars through the wide glass window. The small monitoring post floated at the edge of what most people called civilized space. Her job was simple: watch for signals and report anything unusual. Most nights nothing happened. That was why they sent her here after the incident on the Central Command ship. She made one mistake, and now she spent her days looking at empty space. A console in front of her beeped. A small light flashed on the screen. Kimberly sat up straight and looked at the reading. A signal was coming through, but it matched nothing in the database. She pressed a few buttons, trying to clean up the transmission. Signal grew stronger. It pulsed in a pattern she had never seen before. Kimberly ran it through all known classifications. Nothing matched. She bit her lip as she considered what to do. If she reported another false alarm, she might lose her job, but this signal was real and it was coming from somewhere it should not. The dead zone. That was what they called the area where humans once lived. The history book said humans destroyed themselves in a great war 20,000 years ago. No one went. To that part of space it was forbidden. Kimberly sent a message to her commander. She did not expect much. The Galactic Concord had many rules, and one of them was to ignore anything from the dead zone. It was probably just space noise. 3 hours later, Admiral Stacy Winters arrived at the station. Kimberly stood at attention as the tall woman with gray hair walked toward her. The Admiral rarely left Central Command for small matters. Stacy looked at the signal pattern on the screen. Her eyes widened. She touched the screen with her finger, tracing the pattern. "I know this pattern," she said quietly. "It is from the old archives. Something called the Lazarus." Protocol Kimberly did not understand. "What does that mean?" she asked. "It means someone is coming." Back, Stacy turned to her staff who waited by the door. "Send a ship to these coordinates. We need to see what is out there. But Admiral, that area is restricted." A young officer spoke up. "The rules say." "I know the rules." Stacy cut him off. "I made many of them, but this is different. This signal is human." The room went silent. Everyone knew the stories. Humans were gone, their planets destroyed, their ships lost. But here was their admiral saying a human signal was coming from the dead zone. Kimberly watched. As the staff hurried away to follow orders, she turned back to the admiral, who still stared at the screen. What did she mean? Humans? Were they not all dead? 24 hours later, a small scout ship named Swift Journey approached the coordinates. Captain Olivia Blackwood stood on the bridge. Her crew of 5 specialists watched their screens carefully. They were the first ship to enter the dead zone legally in over 500 years. There it is, said the sensor officer, pointing at the main screen. A massive ship appeared on their view screen. It was unlike anything they had seen before. Its design was strange, with angles and sections that made no sense to modern engineers. But it was clearly a ship, and it was moving. Captain Blackwood ordered her communications officer to hail the vessel. No response came back. She tried again. Still nothing. The sensor officer spoke up again. Captain, I am picking up energy readings. The ship is powering up. Its systems are coming online. How is that possible? Asked Blackwood. This ship must be 20,000 years old. The science officer shook her head. I do not know, but the readings are clear. Something is waking up inside that ship, back at Outpost Horizon. Kimberly and Admiral Winters watched the live feed from the Swift Journey. The ancient ship grew larger on their screen as Captain Blackwood moved closer. There, Stacy pointed at a section of the hull. Can you enhance that image? Kimberly zoomed in on the area. A faded symbol appeared, a blue circle with white lines crossing it. That is the symbol of Earth, said Stacy. The human homeworld. How do you know that? Asked Kimberly. The Admiral did not answer. She just stared at the screen. Her hand trembled slightly as she touched the image. That ship should not be here, she whispered. It should not be active on the Swift Journey. Captain Blackwood ordered her ship to maintain distance. The ancient vessel was now fully visible. It was enormous, at least 5 times larger than any modern ship. Its hull was dark gray with patches of what might have been color long ago. Lights flickered along its sides as systems activated. Captain, we are receiving a transmission, said the communications officer. Put it on screen, ordered Blackwood. The screen flickered and then showed the interior of a ship. Dark at first, then lighting up section by section. A mechanical voice spoke. Emergency long-term logistical assistant online. Vessel identification. Nostalgic memory current status revival sequence. Initiated primary mission countdown activated. Time to mission execution, 7 standard days. The message repeated, then cut off. The bridge crew looked at each other in confusion. What is a nostalgic memory? Asked the navigator. It's the name of the ship, said Blackwood. But what mission? What countdown? The sensor officer called out. Captain, the ship is changing course. It is heading toward Concord. Space Admiral Winters' voice came through their communication system. Do not engage. Follow at safe distance. I am sending reinforcements. Captain Blackwood acknowledged the order but felt uneasy. Something about this ancient ship felt wrong. Why would it activate now after so many years? What was waiting inside? And most importantly, what was its mission as? The Swift Journey followed the massive ghost ship. Kimberly analyzed the signals coming from it. More systems were coming online. She could detect internal movement. Power was flowing to sections that had been dormant for millennia. The ship was not just active, it was awakening. Admiral Winters stood behind her, watching the data flow. Her face showed concern, but also something else. Something Kimberly could not identify. Was it fear, or was it recognition? The ghost ship moved steadily through space. Its engines glowed with strange blue light, nothing like the modern ships of the Concord. It was heading somewhere with purpose, its mission unknown but clearly important enough to wait 20,000 years. The signal grows stronger every hour, reported. Kimberly, I think it is trying to communicate. Stacy nodded. Keep monitoring it, we need to know what it wants. Wyatt has returned. Kimberly looked up at the Admiral. Why do you say returned? How do you know it? Left. Stacy did not answer. She turned and walked away, leaving Kimberly with her questions and the growing signal from a ship that should not exist. The nostalgic memory continued its journey toward the heart of the galactic Concord. Its ancient hull hiding secrets that had waited 20 millennia to be revealed. Humanity had not destroyed itself, it had gone away. And now, for reasons unknown, it was coming back.